if it's the culture that you missing, you won't.
Well, listen. I remember when I first heard that song, I thought that girl had lost her damn mind.
You
And
know something.
it's more than her mind. Listen, she's losing the mark. And you know, welcome to Unpacking Culture. My name is Alex Haynes.
Welcome. My name is Tiffanie Lanelle.
And it's so nice to see you.
It is nice to be seen.
Down in Atlanta.
Up in New York.
Why is she still playing?
I don't know. You've got to turn that uncultured song off.
Uncultured, ungodly, and ugly.
Terrible. How dreadful. That's like a fashion show with no fashion.
Well.
How dreadful.
That's what happened. A fashion show with no fashions is white people appropriating black culture.
T.S.
The end. I think the show's over. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. It's been nice.
No. In all seriousness, welcome to Unpacking Culture. And if you are tuning in for the first time, welcome. We are live every Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
I almost didn't know the day of the week. Sorry about that. Every Wednesday at 10 p.m. we are live. Plus, our podcast is available anywhere a podcast is available. So make sure you tune in, lock in, and join us each week. We're available. Let me put my devices on silent and act like a professional. All right. So, yeah. Last week we went there. This week we're going there. I think this week we can really like dive in. Like I'm because this is an issue similar to, like, there's this thing called gentrification, that there's a certain demographic that gentrifies and they don't really know that it's a bad thing.
Right.
Appropriation, you know. I think that really people would vocally have a problem with it. But I'm going to play, before we jump all the way into this, people say that, you know, there are cultures that appropriate black culture.
Mm-hmm.
I can't help but believe that they think we have a problem with everything.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I never get into this with people because it's pointless for me to go there. But, you know, it's like, well, everything isn't racism. Everything isn't appropriation. And when do we say, okay, maybe it's not appropriation, imitation is, you know, the finest form of flattery? When do we just accept it for what it is, and be flattered by it, not bothered? Or should we?
You know, we, in our prep meeting, y'all forgive my voice, I am slightly under the weather. In our prep meeting, we talked about the difference between cultural appropriation and cultural appreciation.
Okay.
And I think that there's a fine line between the two. And I do think that it's possible to appreciate the culture without appropriating it. And I think that is at least what my preference would be for folks to do.
So, I understand what you're saying. Like, there's a way for you to appreciate what we do and appreciate a culture. Okay, let's take black people out of this. Let's take black people out of this and try to make it something that can happen to any culture. So I can appreciate you admire what we do. You know, I can appreciate, and I think there's so many levels of it, and we can really we'll get into them tonight. But I think when we think about appreciation versus appropriation, if someone is appreciating it, you know, does that mean that they still shouldn't? Or should they and not call it what they're calling it? Should they? Because I still think that's appropriation, and I think they try to do that. I think they try to get away from appropriating culture. And I know people are like, y'all are talking in code and we want examples. You're going to get your examples. But I think people do something else. It's appropriation, and then they call it something else that they created and then own. And then that goes right back into the full definition of appropriation. So,
right.
Okay. I tried to get out of it for them, and I couldn't do it. So let's just start at the beginning.
Okay. I don't even know. where to start except, so appropriation. Why don't we start here? What do you define as cultural appropriation?
I don't have a definition of it.
Okay.
I don't have a running definition of cultural appropriation because I don't like to have conversations with people that do
it. Okay.
Because my personal feeling is, you know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I often think that sometimes things are done just to agitate us, and nobody likes an angry black man or a black woman.
Well, I've been called that multiple times.
As have I.
I think that I can understand why you don't have a definition for cultural appropriation. I'm not sure that I necessarily have one either. But we can certainly give examples. So example number 1, America's favorite family to follow, Kardashians. Now the Kardashians have gotten in trouble, so to speak, quote unquote, a couple of times for wearing box braids. I have a long-standing history of what cornrows, because that's what they actually are, mean to me, as I have memories of being that little black girl sitting between my mama's knees with the grease on one side and the comb on the other side, and me getting the cornrows to go to school or play on the playground or whatever. But long before that, and here's where I have an issue with this specific example of cultural appropriation, is you took a hairstyle, named it something else, and didn't appreciate the culture and the history behind why we have cornrows and the fact that they were used, excuse me, as a path or maps to freedom for slaves. There were also certain examples of like French braids, where our ancestors used to use French braids to hide dried goods to feed their family, like rice and seeds and all of that. And now, I'll be honest, I didn't learn about that until I visited what's known as the first freed slave town in the Americas in Palenque in Colombia. But when you do something like that, you take a hairstyle and you don't fully understand the history behind it, you're not fully appreciating the culture. And for me, that is definitely an example of cultural appropriation.
Okay, so I'm glad that we're on two different sides of this, right? Because you want to go from a historical context and why you feel like, you're wearing this hairstyle and you don't know what it's really about. But like you, I'm going to go back to being a young kid. And so whether you're in black culture, and this is what pisses me off about it, because it's not like they're not around black people that they couldn't ask questions to. Like that, right. Let's just start right fucking there. Let's just dive right in and start right there. They are around black people for some bizarre reason, like they're flocking to them, and these specific black people didn't open their mouth and say, first of all, that's not what that's called. Right. And you're going to get dragged in these streets if you call it that. Because like you, Tiff, any black child that grows up, they don't like, it's not good for, despite, what some people do, which they shouldn't. Little black boys don't get their first haircut until they're almost 2 years old.
Right.
Because you got to let the hair line grow in.
Right.
So we all end up with cornrows as kids. That's just a little black baby with cornrows. That's just who we are. Right. Sometimes at this time, the natural look is in. I don't really think it's going anywhere, and we bless God for that.
Right.
So, you see the babies rocking their froze and everything, and that's great. But, like, it's just something that we know, that pain. Like, in black culture, it's often, like, kids, like, boys that have gotten haircuts until they were, like, 10 or 11, they want to start growing it. And I grew my hair, like, 4 times before I was 18. And so I think that it's it's key to understand that it's such a key part of our culture, and it's something that has a name. It's
Right.
something that, almost everybody can just do.
Right.
It's like you can, I don't really know about the skill sets and the cognitive abilities of other people that are not my own, but I believe that you could probably pick it up pretty quickly. Rachel Dolezal, she taught on black hair. So obviously it's something that can be picked up, but I think that, I just remember like my girlfriends in middle school doing my cornrows. Like I recall that. And then my mom's like, I don't want them nappy head girls touching your head. And then she started doing them. And it's just, it has a name. It has a name. It has a name. And so we know that there's a historical context. There's a reason that it's there. But when you just take something and make it your own,
right,
something that didn't belong to you, and the normal argument that we get from them is, well, did you have a claim on it? Did you own it? You know what? The culture owned it. But before we could even tell you that we've owned it, you've gone and patented it. And it's now, it's and then this is why, quick sidebar, this is why we have to support our own. Because the moment they did that, all of these publications that y'all love to read, your Vanity Fairs and your Vogue and everything, Kim Kardashian launches new hairstyle, box braids. I remember, and they did the same thing to our legends. I feel passionately about people disrespecting black women, especially any black woman, but an elder,
right?
An elder, because what is glass hair?
I'm sorry, what is what?
Glass hair. The wrap that Patti LaBelle has been rocking her whole life. But Kourtney Kardashian wore it. It was glass hair.
Just gonna sip my tea.
Woo! All right. So we've identified how it happens in culture, right? It happens. Right. It is a question though. Do you have to be black to wear it? Because maybe if she not named it, would we have been okay with her saying, I want to rock this hairstyle?
I probably would have been.
Okay. And you would have considered that appreciation?
Yes.
Okay.
If she understood, like I said, for me, it's about history, and it's about a two-part history, one my own and one my ancestors. But had she not tried to take it and make it something else, rename it and act like it's something new, never been done before.
What about go ahead.
And actually appreciated it for what it was and the culture of it and the history of it. And even maybe take the opportunity to educate somebody on it. Yeah. I probably would have been okay with it. Because she's not the first white girl to wear cornrows.
True. So what about people that don't give a damn about history? It's like, well, I live in a free country. I can do what I want. I'm going to wear what I want. And it's not because I want to be black.
Well, that last part I just don't necessarily believe. But if somebody were to say that, then that's when I have an issue. Because you just flat out don't care and now you're just being disrespectful.
So what gives us the claim on that?
We start the same thing that gives us the claim on the stoplight and the peanut butter and iron and the perm. I could keep going.
Okay. All right. So I'll get to that a little bit later. So when does it cross the line? Do they cross the line from appreciation to appropriation when they start naming it and renaming it? Or, I've been wanting to drag this page on a public platform for a while. BuzzFeed's Tasty page on Facebook. Now, if I've ever seen appropriation dishes that are attempted to be made.
Right.
No, black people didn't create chicken, but did we create fried chicken? Hell yes, we did. We did. We absolutely did.
Good
And
fried
they're
chicken.
already trying to rewrite that in history. I saw something, well, it's believed that African Americans created it, but the Dutch had a very, here y'all go. Here y'all go. Y'all know where the hell that shit came from. You know where it came from. So I think the line for me gets crossed when you blatantly, and so I think, I don't know why we have to claim. I just believe that we do. And so maybe someone will call that a flawed argument. The truth is, I don't know. But I do think that when you know that when there's a social acceptance of the fact that this demographic is the one, like they dictate how this shit grow. Like I don't think that Martha Stewart's Soul Food Cookbook is something that we want or something that we want people accepting. Like she's not somebody that should be out here with the Martha's Guide to Soul Cooking. Girl, what soul?
No. Martha can get away with a lot of things. That's not one of them.
I wouldn't want Kelly Ripa's Guide to Soul Food Cooking. I don't want Sarah Jessica Parker's Guide to Soul Food Cooking. Celine Dion's Guide to Soul Food Cooking. Damn it, Madonna's Guide. And I'm sure she has one.
Now, if Martha's, her and Snoop are the best of friends. If they collaborated on something and collaborated by, Snoop doing it.
Nope. I'm talking about Martha. Okay?
No, she can't do it by herself.
Probably does have a high man's guide to soul food cooking. I'm sure he does. And I don't have a problem with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. There's nothing wrong with that. But I started naming white people. I can keep going. Jenna Bush, Gloria Allred. Like, we can just keep down the line. If these people release cookbooks for soul food cooking, you don't want that. Just like you've never seen a black person issue, like you've never seen Patti LaBelle's Guide to the Best Casseroles. Not our thing. Not our lane. It is not our lane.
Y'all can actually have that. That's yours. We don't make casseroles.
Don't.
What?
It's not like we couldn't. It's not like we couldn't make a casserole that would be amazing. But we wouldn't take it and say it belonged to us. Like we didn't take it. We don't want that.
No. We don't. So we talked about the Kardashians. We talked about a little bit about food. Let me ask you this before we move on. Would you eat fried chicken made by a white person? And I'm asking because
I'm thinking.
I know.
I'm thinking really, really hard.
I'm going to let you answer. I'm asking for a specific reason. And it has to do with my last trip up there. When we went to, what's the name of that food festival?
Smorgasburg.
Yes. And myself and a friend of ours saw a tent.
I recall this moment.
And I saw what looked to be like fried chicken.
No, it actually said fried chicken.
It said fried chicken.
It said fried chicken.
And I said, I wouldn't mind trying a piece of fried chicken here. The rest of the food was good. I was trying different cultural things.
And you started that. We all took a walk towards the tent. And as we approached the tent,
we saw nary a black person. Nary.
Not one. Now, does that mean that whoever made the fried chicken, it wasn't good? No, that doesn't mean that.
However, I will say it looked unseasoned, like that chicken that Oprah tried.
So, to that point, right? I got some fried chicken. I went to a restaurant, a high class fine dining restaurant for a friend's birthday back in April, in the city. And, you know, and I'm not trying to teach anything, right? I do cook a little bit,
You cook a lot of it, but that's okay.
and my cooking is pretty good. And there were plenty of skeptics. I don't have to prove anything. I'm just telling you that I cook a little bit, and so we're gonna get off of them and foods, but I think I know what the problem is.
Okay. I can't wait to hear this.
I think I know what the problem is. So seasoning and flavoring is not the same thing. Though
No.
seasoning does bring and add flavor to taste. Adding flavor to something that's already bland without seasoning will still cause said object. Chicken wing, chicken breast, chicken thigh, chicken lip, it will still be bland.
Correct.
So this particular restaurant, they were like fried chicken drums or something like that with lemon, pepper, and dill.
Okay.
We got them. The fries were good. We got it, and I was like, you know, fried chicken. The batter looked like it looked like they did their thing. You know, it was like hand breaded. I'm okay. I see y'all get it up. Oprah eating that woman's chicken, that Caucasoid chicken on live TV, and wondering if they added salt or pepper. It was like, okay, so there's flavor here, but they're like, I think it's rude to spit your food out. That's rude. I would never do that at a high class fine dining restaurant. But to say that I did not spit that out, like, whoa. And I tasted the lemon pepper. And I tasted the dill, but there was no seasoning whatsoever. And so we missed it. We missed it.
Oh,
now,
my.
I think as we travel away from food and jump back into the appropriation as a whole, I do think that it's possible. Like, you went to school for chemistry, and so that's not really biology. You probably don't know either. I would assume that our taste buds are similar, and the pigment doesn't have anything to do with the way that we taste. You know, I would hope. I know that Lowry's is spicy to people without pigment. Don't understand it. It does not add spice. It adds flavor. But I have seen them say, wow, it's really spicy, very tasty, but really spicy. I mean,
all taste buds are not created equal.
Okay.
So they are similar, but different and this is not me being racist or anything like that. Different cultures really do have, I can't, but different cultures really do have different taste buds according to just our genes, our makeup, all of that. So, for example, you will notice that the French palate is a bit more sensitive than maybe a palate from somebody from New Orleans. Or, you know, the New Orleans palate might be different from somebody from Ohio.
Black French, they got sensitive palates too?
No. I'm talking European French palates are a bit different than like your Western culture. So all taste buds are not created equal. Some like sour more than they like sweet. Some like spicy more than they like bland. So no, they are not all created equal. And that's your lesson, biological lesson.
I'll take it. I appreciate it. Thank you for the clarification.
Not a problem.
You know.
But before we move on from food, I cannot let this travesty go undiscussed. Okay. Y'all have got to stop putting vegetables in macaroni and cheese. The dish literally has the two ingredients that you need in the name of it. You need macaroni and you need cheese. Now, I am not opposed to a heavy cream, a milk, half and half or something like that being added. And you need at least 3 cheeses. If you don't have at least 3 cheeses in your mac and cheese, I'm not eating it. That's not macaroni and cheese. That is crack.
It's
nasty. You need at least 3 cheeses a good number is 4 or 5 cheeses in your mac and cheese, and I need a corner. I need that mac and cheese to have a corner. If I cannot take the mac and cheese out with a spatula and it requires a spoon, that is not the macaroni and cheese that I would like. I am done. If I see raisins, broccoli, carrots, celery.
What? Okay, we got to stop doing that to them. They don't put raisins in everything. And every time we want to drag a white person, we say that, they put raisins in the potato salad, raisins in the macaroni and cheese. I don't know if that's a real thing. I'm afraid to Google it because I think it might be. And
it is a real thing.
I'm trying to protect them right now. But I just couldn't possibly believe that anybody's actually putting a raisin in macaroni and cheese because it does not belong there. It's like macaroni and cheese. That's what goes in it.
I'm just telling you.
Or bacon, lobster, shrimps.
Now I will say you can add a protein. I have made seafood mac and cheese before. That was delicious. You can do something like that. But how dare you add a broccoli, a cauliflower, a carrot, a celery? That does not go in mac and cheese. Okay? Let's stop that travesty right now. If you do not know how to make macaroni and cheese, ask your black friend. Because that's some of y'all's favorites. I have a black friend. Ask your black friend, what's your Now, they're not going to give you their macaroni and cheese recipe because those are family secrets. They got that on a card in a drawer tucked away. But they may bring you a small dish of said macaroni and cheese just so you can know what it is supposed to taste like. We can move on. I just was not about to move on from food without that being noted. I'm done now. I'm going to sip my tea.
No, I'm actually, everything that you said needed to be said, and it is just that. And so, one form of appropriation versus appreciation, we see right now that the main problem is people not understanding the difference. And maybe, do you think that if they understood the differences that they would stop?
No, I don't.
Do you think this is a lifelong problem?
Yes, I do.
So you also think this conversation is probably pointless?
Probably.
Okay.
They're going to continue to mess up our greens. I'm sorry, I'm not done on the food.
Okay, actually, I would like you to touch that.
Okay. Greens.
If I had the photo of the woman that put sesame seeds in the greens,
we will find that photo and we'll put it.
I'm serious enough, like when I say, because like when you put you took your white ass down to a farmer's market and put your recipe up with a sign that you wrote on a piece of farm wood, collard greens, and the rest. We will post it on the Facebook.
We will.
We got to do that now. Because what? What are those? This is not like okay, all right.
So for those who don't know,
greens, what else did she add? Soy sauce?
I think it was like soy sauce, vinegar. It wasn't a collard recipe. First of all, it's not collard greens. It's collards or greens. Not both. You don't say all of the letters in the words.
Oh, I'm getting heartburn, and even thinking about this makes my ass itch. It bothers me. I just like, it's just so bad. It's just so like, why? For why? For why? Like, for why? I know that's poor English, but I say that to make it make sense without me cussing a lot. For why? Why? Like, why?
Greens is another one of those traditions that we had to make what we were given. So we took the greens, we added a ham hock. You want to add hot sauce in there. You got to let it shrink down a bit. And then you just keep piling like it. There's a process to it. And you got to have that arm. I'm not going to show mine because, yeah. But you got to have that arm. If you got that auntie arm, then you can make greens. That's just what it said in the black.
I don't have greens. My greens are off the chain.
I am working on my greens recipe. You know.
Mine's perfect.
Mine's not. I'm not going to lie. I'm not there yet.
It is. My
But
auntie, I was just in St. Louis. My auntie was like, "Now listen, you down there cooking for all them people that you don't know?" I'm like,
dang,
I do know them. I do know them.
dang.
Not like you know me. All right.
Um, our intern said that's a damn seaweed salad. I don't disagree. Um, that's something that you've got to add flavor and seasoning to. But moving on from the green, I don't even remember what your point was. I thought about that after we had moved on from the greens, from the food conversation, and I just,
We were gonna move on and we're gonna wrap up the food because we've dragged them enough there.
right,
Stop. Like
just stop.
if you're not listening to me, if we're not clear, look
Just,
closely. Stop.
just
Just
stop.
cut it out. Stop. Like when you think I saw my black friend making this, so I saw a picture of it. Don't, 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 don't. Just don't do it.
And
We,
that
we'll,
goes for
we'll
some of y'all
all,
black
we
people
will
too.
all be better if you just don't.
That
Your
goes for
family
some.
won't be.
That goes for some black people too, because I have heard of some recipes that some of y'all
No,
are out here
no,
making.
no. It does not go for black people, Tiff, because this is not about black people trying black shit. It's not
It's
about
not,
that.
but
It's not.
some of y'all need
So,
to ask
black
y'all
person,
aunties.
if you can, like some people just can't cook. We know that.
Right,
That is not the same thing. It's
right.
not the same thing. I
And
don't
that
want to
goes
muddy
across
those waters
all races.
at
If you
all.
cannot cook, step out of the kitchen. You bring silverware. Don't you bring your nasty dish to no potluck. Stop. Shall
Let's
we
talk
move on
about
to
that.
music?
Before we move into music, uh, black people don't want to participate in your potlucks at your nasty ass jobs with your nasty ass hands and your nasty ass kitchen with your nasty ass cats. Like
Dang.
we don't want to participate in that. We're not eating it, first of all. So you're probably never getting food from our real kitchen.
Accurate. Accurate. I'm always on a fast that day.
Not only am I on a fast, I went to Publix and got this and put it in a pan.
Accurate.
Sure.
I'm not wasting my good cooking talents on y'all. No.
I just
When I cook, I gotta put my foot in things.
we
I
don't want
gotta,
we don't want to be at your potlucks, but
I gotta use that good stirring arm. I'm not doing that. No, I gotta really know you and like you to cook for you.
I don't know
Um,
about that, but I cook because it's my therapy, but I may cook for you, but I just don't want to come to your potluck.
yeah. Okay, so music. Do you have? Were you ever a fan of, let's say, Eminem? Electric slide to this. How do you just take one of the blackest
You
songs?
because you appreciate it, and that was our answer.
No.
Who are we to say? Like, who are me? Who are we? Who am me to say that Earth, Wind, and Fire couldn't have touched her life? I'll wait for an answer.
I'm perfectly fine with Earth, Wind, and Fire touching her life and her soul.
Mhm.
That should not have been recorded. That is blasphemy to the highest degree of an Earth, Wind, and Fire song. How dare you take a black classic and turn it into something from the Notebook soundtrack? How dare you?
It was actually from A Walk to Remember.
Close enough.
Listen, I think that
Now, let me tell you what is appreciation and what I actually will dance and sing to in my car. I have a host of nieces and nephews, so I'm a big cartoon movie watcher, Disney,
Mm-hmm.
Pixar, all of that. So I have seen Trolls more times than I would like to admit to.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Trolls has a version of September in it. It's great. They redid quite a few songs in the movie Trolls. Trolls has Anna Kendrick and Justin Timberlake doing some of the soundtrack, and along with Gwen Stefani and a host of other people. But they did a really good job on that soundtrack. It's a really good soundtrack.
What was was there a specific song?
They did September.
Oh, because I was gonna say you just started naming all these white people. I completely zoned out, glossed over, and missed everything that came out of your mouth until you said
Wow.
it again. So I have no clue what you said.
They did September on the Troll soundtrack, and they did it justice. They appreciated it. Now I am fine with that. What Taylor did,
What's the difference? Because it's your personal preference that you're like that. Like what's the difference?
they did the song changing without really changing too much. She made it into a uncultured ballad. They didn't really change the song and kept the vibe of Earth, Wind, and Fire on it. And Earth, Wind, and Fire was good with it, from my recollection. They enjoyed it. They enjoyed now Taylor took it and just completely destroyed the feeling that you get when that song comes
But
on.
did she say she did it because the song moved her?
Let it move.
Did she actually? Because I'm actually checking myself here. I could be off here. Did she actually appropriate, or was she trying to appreciate her way? She can't sing
She
it like Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Then don't sing it, or don't try to make money off of it.
She didn't release it as a single. It was a private release.
Was it?
I don't
Was
know if
it?
it's added to her streaming revenue. I'm sure she's getting some type of credit for it.
I'm sure she is. I don't like it, and that probably is just a personal preference of mine. I don't like it.
And this is where I say that the line to appropriation becomes clear. If you try to take it and make it your own when it never belonged to you.
Right. Without talking about where it came from.
I mean, Weezer did a rendition of "Say My Name,"
Destiny shall say my name.
and they did it for a Spotify Soul session. And so, I mean,
All of
because
this sounds.
we as black people think we own the word soul. I'm inclined to say we do.
No comment.
Anyway, he started out by saying it is one of the most musically, it's one of the most musically beautiful arrangements that he had ever heard. And there's not a person on the planet that could deny it. That's what he started out saying. To me, that's appreciation.
That is appreciation.
To me, that's appreciation. And so even though he redid it his way at the request of Spotify, I think it's Weezer. I could be off. I think it's Weezer. I felt like the words that he said, if I can find it, we'll post it. I think it's a worthwhile listen to, because I listened actually the last time I flew to Atlanta. It popped up as a suggested thing for me to hear. Probably, because he's actually trying to piss me off. I'm sure that it was trying to, but it didn't. I kind of felt what he said, and I appreciate it. So with that, there are other pieces of our culture that people try to take and make their own. When we leave food and we leave music and we start just talking about the way that we talk.
Wait, before we get there, I have a question. What do you consider it when it happens the other way? So, for example, Adele came out with Hello from the Other Side.
Mm-hmm.
And then Joe came out with his rendition of Hella from the Other Side, which I like both versions. I love both versions. Don't really necessarily have a preference of if either one comes on the radio, I'm going to listen to either one. Joe did the hell out of his rendition. I'm not going to lie. And I believe Adele even said that. What are your feelings on that?
Why would Joe how could Joe appreciate white culture? I mean, appropriate white culture.
That's what I'm asking. Did he appropriate that?
Because what is white culture?
Well, is that an oxymoron?
That's a real question. That's a whole different discussion about cultures. One Latina mommy told me one day that every culture in the world has, and this was her logic. Every culture in the world has a bread. When I really started to think about it, like she went down, like she talked about different countries. She didn't categorize Africa as one country. She talked about different countries in Africa that had their own bread. France, French bread. African Americans, cornbread.
Well,
in case you didn't know, it's ours.
now y'all start adding vegetables to cornbread.
I'm
gonna have a whole
so
issue.
your jalapeno and corn on the cob bread that you're serving?
What? That's not a real thing.
You have never had jalapeno with actual corn in the bread?
What?
Yeah.
That's not cornbread.
Oh, it's a thing.
No.
It's
no.
a thing.
No.
Bell pepper cornbread?
What?
Again, when you add a flavor and not a seasoning, it tastes nasty.
Okay. I'm sorry. We can continue.
So the way we talk is that there's a comedian that you and I both know. He is a clean comedian. Most of you, our listeners, won't know who he is because you didn't grow up brainwashed and saved like us.
You must be talking about Jonathan.
I'm talking about Jonathan Slocum. And so there's just a way. It was a comedy CD and it was also a DVD called Laugh Yourself to Life. Was that him? Or was that Vicky Winans?
No, it was called Laugh Yourself to Life.
Okay, I thought I was right. All right. So there's a track on there that says The Way We Talk. And so I think that, can we have a brief pause?
Okay.
And Pit Crew, my interns, I want you to write this down for a future show. I don't want to tell people when it's going to be. We are going to have a show about the way we talk.
Oh.
Okay. All right.
I see where you're going with that.
Okay.
We talked about this.
All right. Yes. We talked about it, and it's important, and that's going to be a huge show.
Yes.
It's going to be a huge show. And so I'm going to send that to them separately. But when it comes down to the way that we talk, when you try to talk like us and you can't, because it don't make sense. You know, and I think that like it's here in prep. We're calling it a black scent, but it's just wrong. It's just wrong. Okay, and I think that I do think, you know, I talk a certain way because I've been in front of a mic and a camera for 15 years. So the way that I come across when this light is on and this thing is in my face and this thing is in my face is one thing, but when I'm just with my people in Atlanta, you probably can't understand what I'm saying. You just probably can't.
No. My mom actually has sometimes looked at me and said, "What did you just say?" I've been in Atlanta too long.
You probably can't. And then, and I'm not going to try to do that here because then someone's going to mock what I did like it's cute. And it's not. It's the same thing. You know, I was born in a certain place. So when I'm around my cousins and my family where I was born, I morphed out of that lingo. There's ways of, that St. Louis twang comes out at times. And every once in a while when I'm not focused, you hear, like I just said, you hear her instead of her. You hear here instead of her. But my natural tongue wants to say her. It's over there. Like it's that simple. When you, and it's crazy that I can imitate a white girl trying to talk black. But it's even this, right? I hope this show never goes anywhere because it came to my mind, so I'm going to say it.
Oh, dear God.
Everything is on my mind. And, I don't have a problem with interracial relationships. I want to be clear on that. I don't want this to come across as me having a bias. There is this thing about fat black men being attracted to fat white women. It's beyond me. I don't understand where we're going with this. Like, some of the, I've heard it once said that black men are sometimes attracted to white women that look like the Mucinex monster. And so typically when they are dating when there's like a skinny black man or just any black man that likes a plus size white woman. And again, like I said, I'm here for the the swirl it up, do what you like, piss the white ancestors in the grave off. Do that. I'm here for it. But when you are dating the Mucinex monster, and then they always have kids named Jaden, Jalen.
Oh my God.
Am I lying?
Where are you going with this?
And so then these white girls be like, "Ooh, Jalen, if you do that again, I'm gonna tell your daddy."
Oh my God.
Well, big white lady, why is it all of a sudden a daddy? Because you got a Jalen. Because if you had Brad, you were gonna tell his dad.
Oh my God.
So that's just what I want to know. Like, if you had Jalen or Jaden or how many? Like, tell me I'm lying. And they're not fat white Mucinex monsters. They are the skinny white with the swoop with the I want to speak to a manager haircut. Like it's one or the other. But that's who these black men find, and I just don't understand. And then sometimes it's really the real skinny niggas that be like, oh, it's either that or a Rasputia. The world we live in. But I think that's the because I don't want to really imitate white women talking like black people or white kids. Tom Hanks' son thinks he's black. The one that likes to rap. And then you've got Ariana Grande, when she was on Nickelodeon, she didn't talk this way that she talked. She didn't say the things that there's plenty of comparisons. All you have to do is, search Ariana Grande speech on Twitter and it's unlimited videos comparing A to B or.
Cause she's white.
Or A to B.
Who don't know.
A to B. Let me blacken it up and say A to B. It's A to B, not A to B. A to B.
Well, here's my thing when it comes to speech. Now that I've got my jaw back closed from you talking about Mucinex monsters and all of that, I have gotten. I'm not going back there with you. I am actually tired of people. And I've been told this for a long time, that I talk white. Or that I have the ability to talk white. Like you, when I'm around my friends, apparently when I'm around my parents, because like I said, my mom can't understand the words that come out of my mouth sometimes, because I am officially a Southern Belle. I've been here so long. Southern Belle, Georgia Peach, all that, whatever. But like you, in certain environments.
Honestly, you really shouldn't be proud of that. Georgia is like the seventh ring of hell.
Atlanta Peach.
Next to.
We're going to have to change
next to Alabama. 17, like y'all went right on back to 1778 and 1779.
We did.
I really don't know which state is worse, but Georgia,
we're neck and neck.
Alabama, they're just the pits.
They are, which I live in Atlanta. So I'm in Atlanta Peach.
Atlanta, Georgia.
Let's not say that second part. But since when did talking proper, like, why do they get to own that? And I'm not saying that they do, but at what point did talking proper or speaking correct grammar and, my subject verb agreement and all of that, since when is that talking white? Why is that talking white? Why is that not just English? Speaking proper English.
Because of AAVE.
And that's a whole other show. That's a whole other show.
Because it's the thing. Like we were taught American English. I speak American English very well. I also speak and until you know what AAB is, and some of you are Googling it right now, you're listening on the podcast, you're like, what the hell is he talking about? There's a natural vernacular that is in your soul. And it is a real thing.
Yep.
It comes out naturally.
Yep.
They don't want you to be, in the words of DJ Khaled, who I saw last week, when I walked past his Bayback, he was definitely on Snapchat.
Okay, then.
He was right outside of Rockefeller Center. But he was like really going in the back seat. Like, they don't want you to be. I'm like, bro, come on. It's 2019. But yeah, like they.
Okay. That's a whole different show. But that
people with black sense, who comes to mind?
That's hard for me because I try not to listen to those type of people.
Oh, you can avoid them. Because here's the thing, like, they turn black to get what they want, and then they go right on back to white.
I think Miley Cyrus is a good example. Iggy Azalea, just came out with her, whatever the name of that song is. But she's been accused of it quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I will be honest, I didn't know G-Eazy was white until I was listening to him on Spotify one day, or it came up on my Spotify one day, and I looked at the picture and I said, huh, okay, you are white. You are white? White.
Fooled me once, shame on you. Fooled
right.
me twice, shame on me.
Right.
Words of the great George Bush, fooled me you're not going to fool me 3 times.
I can't. And of course we have, what's his name? 6ix9ine to dash.
What is that
exactly?
What exactly is Tekashi 6ix9ine?
You're asking me?
I'm really more interested in the species.
You know what?
Serious question. When I look at it, it's very similar to where...
Predator?
Close. Not necessarily. It's almost like one that we haven't named yet. But it's kind of like when I look at Tekashi 6ix9ine, when I look at Post Malone, God help us all. It's the same way that I often feel when I see Black.
Roach.
These people, it's What is it about the culture that makes us so interesting? Question that you may not like, people may not like. What is it about our culture that makes us think that we are so interesting that people want everything that we have? Because that's how they spin it.
So I have a couple of answers to this, but from the time that we were stolen from our native land up to today, you've literally been trying to steal everything from us. Okay. So if we're not that great, then why didn't you leave our black asses on our homeland?
Well, they didn't bring us here to be great.
I know they brought us here for free labor.
They made America great all by themselves.
All right. One of our interns said the Cash Me Outside girl. That's a good example.
Catch me outside. How about that? What?
Girl, what?
Look, man.
But Post Malone is, what did you say? He's the top. He's like got 2 number ones or top 2. He's a
Yeah,
number 2 and a number
Sunflower.
3, something like that.
Sunflower with Sway Lee and Wow. That's another one.
I don't know nothing about that. Every time he comes on my station, I literally change the channel immediately. Immediately.
I mean, I'd be lying if I said they were bad songs because they're not.
I wouldn't know. I literally change the station every single time.
Mm.
I just can't. Just can't.
What if you're missing out?
Sorry. Then I'm gonna miss out on that one.
Sunflower with Sway Lee and Wow.
Those are the one in the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess congratulations to him. I can't, and that's not because I don't listen to white rappers. I listen to G-Eazy. I listen to Black Bear. I used to be a huge Eminem fan, so it's not that I have a
I
problem.
never really saw it for Eminem. And now I've always appreciated his rap, but I've never been a fan.
I've never I don't own any of his albums.
There's a clear delineation for me, right? Like, I tell people all the time, like I was a huge fan of Beyonce. I was a huge fan of Beyonce's music, never a fan of Beyonce. At this point, I appreciate Beyonce. I recognize her as the greatest entertainer alive. Fan, yeah, I'm a fan of her entertainment. Fan of her? Do I follow her? No. Do I want to see everything she posts? No. Do I care about them kids? How many she got? 5, 6, 4?
All right.
Don't care, don't know. No, but I'm just saying, like, that doesn't make me a fan. I don't know. And so when it comes to Eminem, not a fan, but I appreciated his rap. Post Malone, I like a good melody. So I'm not a fan of him. He's made good music. So I'm a person that has always, and this is why, not to get off topic, but this is why with R. Kelly, people are like, well, I just don't see how you can separate the music from the person. I've always done it. And it's not specific to R. Kelly. Those examples that I gave just make it really clear. It's just, I am a fan of music. And I can hear a good song when I hear it. But I think that, do you think that we have a responsibility to address appropriation? And I'll leave it with this. I think this is a good question for us to post for the week. And we want to start asking questions, and so we'll start posting them for our listeners on the podcast. We'll start posting them on Facebook. Do you think that it's the responsibility of us as a people to educate people when they're out of pocket with the appropriation?
I'm gonna say yes. Now, do I think that it will change anything? Not necessarily.
I mean, each one teach one. So it may not change a lot of things immediately, but will it change things? I'm inclined to believe so.
I mean, keep hope alive. But yeah, I do. Well, and I'm biased because I'm always for educating one on a variety of things.
Mm-hmm.
Because I personally like to be educated on a variety of things. So, I didn't get to learn about my culture and ancestry and things like that in school because white. So I had to go out and white.
Wow.
So I had a mother who taught me about people like Ida B. Wells and Claudette Colvin. And then as I got older, I went to places like Columbia, Palenque, to learn about the different pieces of ancestry and things like that. So as I learn, I want to teach others, not just white, not just black, but everybody. Because I would hope that somebody would do the same for me when, I don't know about country music actually having its roots in African American culture. And so y'all boycotting Wrangler jeans because Lil Nas X has a great country song is ridiculous to me. Or that, marijuana was called marijuana to be tied with Mexican people and was banned because Mexicans and blacks, even back then, were still considered the troubled groups. And they were scared that white women were going to be drugged and taken by brown people. So stuff like that, I feel like, yeah, it's all of our duty to educate, because our people perish for a lack of knowledge at the end of the day. And I am a full believer in that statement. So I don't want anybody to perish for a lack of knowledge, because that is the definition of ignorance, is a lack of knowledge. So yeah, that's my answer. Yes.
I'm done. Just the same way that I'm usually done with people when they start doing it, which is why at the beginning of the show I didn't have a definition for it, because that's the kind of stuff that I'm just done. If you know that this doesn't belong to you and you take it, you're out of line.
And rename it.
In IKFYL. Okay. Tiff, how do people keep up with you?
I'm good. My thing went out, but
Oh, okay. Well, I said, how do people keep up with you? I'll tell them how they can keep up with me.
it's Tiff Lanelle.
Because you.
I'm back. I didn't hear you say that. But you can keep up with me, technical difficulties. We got one every week because
We
technology.
actually had almost made it all the way through without one, but
Right. You can keep up with me on Tiff Lanelle. Oh, I just published my new Tiff Lanelle site. So Tiff Lanelle on Instagram, Facebook, everywhere, and .com.
Okay. Very cool. You can keep up with me at Alex Unmuted. Everywhere, alexunmuted.com. A new one is actually coming next week, so
Yay.
we'll be able to talk about it and get into it. Until then, in the words of Tiff tonight, keep hope alive. I'm losing hope in this country daily. So,
Little by little.
that part. We're back here next week. Of course, the podcast up. And follow us, bossfm.com/unpacking culture. Unpacking culture on all social media. We would love to hear from you. We appreciate you for tuning in. Until next time, we were so glad that you joined us today. Namaste. We'll see you later.
Namaste. If I had a singing voice, I would sing the Carol Burnett song.